Okay, after watching Digital Foundry's tutorial on how to optimize settings for the best balance of visual fidelity in exchange for performance impact, I applied their recommended settings for ray tracing with just a few minor tweaks, and I'll explain those briefly. One of the things that can cause CPU bottlenecks is your crowd density. I don't think I was getting that, but at the same time, I don't need tons of people walking around my city. So I just dropped it down one notch from high to medium. My video is still native. I tested with a couple of custom resolutions. 2200 by 928 is about 2K, which is the same as 1080p, plus or minus a little bit. And I even went down to 2048 by 864, which is a streaming resolution, because that lets you divide the image evenly by 16, or excuse me, by 8 and by 32. And your MPEG-4 encoder codecs and other encoding codecs tend to work best with that setting. So I've got that saved as a custom resolution, both for in-game and recording, just in case I ever decided to stream it. But I don't need to do that to run the game, and I'm just going to show briefly how effective Digital Foundry's optimized settings are. I went with all of his settings with the balanced fidelity FSR 2.1. I'm not using the dynamic resolution scaling because that, according to their test, didn't seem to work and did some weird things, and I can confirm it doesn't quite work as I expect it to. So I'm going to leave that until I learn more about it. But for right now, going with their settings worked fine. I didn't like it super sharp, so I dropped the sharpening down. It's usually 0.5. I brought it down to 0.3. I don't like chromatic aberration, and I don't like motion blur, so as mentioned maybe in some other videos, I've turned those off. Everything else is per Digital Foundry's recommended settings. Because I'm going with balanced on FSR, I've got my volumetric FOD up to ultra. Everything else is per their recommendations. For ray tracing, I am using the reflections and local shadows, and the lighting is on medium. And I turned off the ray trace sun shadows because that was probably the single biggest performance hit for a minimal visual impact. All that it does is makes sun shadows softer, almost like they disappear completely. And I could take it or leave it. So for the performance and sacrificing the little bit more of visual realism, I'm going to try it turned off for a while and see if I like it, because doing it that way makes the performance really, really good. I can keep it pegged at 60 FPS pretty much. And I'm just going to demo a quick benchmark here real quick to show that. Forgot to lower my MSI Afterburner overlay down so you can see the in-game frame counter, but it's the same as the MSI Afterburner frame counter, so, well. Not a biggie. But you can see from the GPU core, to keep it pegged at 60 FPS, I'm not having to max the GPU out anymore. And these are with optimized settings. The only thing I'm giving up is shadow quality, which basically just makes them sharper. They're not soft shadows anymore, and I don't mind that. This is running smooth as silk, and it's not smashing my GPU. So, good job, Digital Foundry. Yep. And that minimum FPS, I don't know what's going on with that. I've run some runs where it's been in the 50s or 40s, and then I've run some runs where it's been in the 20s. I think that's like the initial startup when it's loading everything onto the GPU. But the max FPS hit almost 70, and the average was 59.79 or 60 FPS. And you saw the minimums, they didn't really drop below 60. So I think this average being so low like hovering right around 60, is because of that minimum. It stayed pegged at the top there. So those settings work great, and I'm very happy with these results. And Digital Foundry did a great job with their tutorial. I highly recommend, if you have a Radeon card, go check them out. That's going to save you a lot of overhead in exchange for visual quality versus performance loss. And it'll help you make a very informed decision on what settings you want to change in the game to get the most out of it. And to be honest, I'm surprised that the 6900 XT did this well with ray tracing in this game. It's an absolute beast to try and run this game on anything other than like a 3080 Ti or better. And the fact that I'm in 21:9 ultra wide, not quite 1440p, but I'm in 21:9 ultra wide, 2560 by 1080p, and it's holding 60 FPS with FSR unbalanced. If I go up to quality and I lower one or two of the other settings, I can get it to stay between 55 and 65 on quality. So yeah, I'm very pleased with the results, and I hope this was informative. Again, check out Digital Foundry's tutorial. It is an older video, but there's a lot of information in there if you're looking at playing Cyberpunk. It's a great tool to use to help you get the most out of it. Hope you all enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.